Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The morning the rumors exploded, the sky over Nashville looked bruised. Inside her cozy home studio, ring lights dimmed and camera untouched, Bunnie Xo sat cross-legged on the floor, scrolling through her phone as notifications stacked like falling dominoes. Her name was trending again, but this time not for her podcast, not for her glam selfies, not for the laughter she so carefully packaged and delivered to millions. This time it was darker. "Shocking abuse allegations," one headline screamed. "Internet divided over Bunnie Xo controversy," said another. Her reflection in the black screen of her phone looked unfamiliar, eyes rimmed red, jaw clenched tight. She had weathered storms before. Being in the orbit of fame meant critics would always circle. As the wife of country star Jelly Roll, she had grown accustomed to scrutiny. But this was different. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't speculation about outfits or podcast guests. This was an accusation. And accusations, once whispered online, grow claws. The silence before the storm. For hours, Bunnie said nothing. Her team texted, friends called, podcast producers asked if they should release a statement, but she stayed quiet, sitting with her thoughts like they were fragile glass. The internet doesn't wait for truth, it waits for reaction, and reaction is often mistaken for guilt. She walked to the hallway where framed photographs lined the walls, snapshots of her life. One showed her and Jelly Roll backstage, arms wrapped around each other in exhausted triumph. Another captured her younger self, before fame, before followers, smiling in a way that suggested survival more than happiness. She paused at that one. The allegations painted her as someone cruel, someone capable of causing harm. The irony felt suffocating. Bunnie knew pain. She knew what it meant to endure chaos, to rebuild from ashes. That was the story she had shared so openly on her podcast. Stories of resilience, of climbing out of trauma with glitter on your eyelids and hope in your chest. Now, that narrative was being rewritten by strangers. The photos. At 3:17 p.m., her Instagram feed changed. No filters, no glam squad, no promotional caption, just a carousel of raw, emotional photos. In the first image, Bunnie sat on the edge of her bed, mascara streaked down her cheeks. In another, she held an old photograph close to her heart, one that seemed worn at the edges from years of being carried. The final image showed her and Jelly Roll in a tight embrace, his face buried in her shoulder, as if shielding her from something unseen. The caption was simple: "I have never raised my hand in harm. I have only ever raised my voice to protect." Within minutes, comments flooded in, some supportive, some skeptical, some cruel. But this time, Bunnie didn't delete them. Breaking the silence. That evening, she went live. The camera shook slightly as she adjusted it. No polished intro music, no catchy branding. Just her, a woman tired of being silent. "I never thought I'd have to defend my humanity like this," she began, voice trembling but steadying as she continued. Abuse is a word that carries weight. It's not a buzzword, it's not clickbait, and it's not something I would ever take lightly. She explained that the allegations stemmed from a heated argument that had been recorded without her knowledge months ago. A fragment of audio, 30 seconds stripped of context, had circulated online. In it, her voice sounded sharp, angry. But anger isn't abuse. Context matters. There are moments in life where we protect ourselves loudly. That doesn't make us monsters. Her vulnerability was disarming. She spoke of therapy sessions, of past traumas she had worked years to heal from. She spoke about accountability, how she believed in it fiercely, and she made one thing clear: if she had ever hurt someone intentionally, she would own it. but I will not confess to something that isn't true just to make the internet comfortable. Jelly Roll's quiet strength. While Bunnie spoke, Jelly Roll sat just off camera. At one point, she reached for his hand. He stepped into frame, eyes serious, jaw set. "I've seen this woman fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves," he said. "She's loud when she needs to be, passionate, yes, protective, absolutely, but abusive? No, that's not the woman I married." The clip of his support spread almost as quickly as the allegations had. Fans of the couple remembered how openly they had shared their struggles, the addiction battles, the early financial hardships, the relentless grind before mainstream success. Their relationship had always been portrayed as built on honesty, not perfection. And perhaps that was why the emotional photos hit differently. They didn't feel curated, they felt human. The internet reacted. Hashtags multiplied, think pieces emerged overnight. Some argued that public figures should be held to higher standards. Others pointed out how easily narratives are constructed from partial information. Mental health advocates chimed in, urging caution before labeling someone an abuser without verified evidence. What made the moment unique wasn't just the scandal, it was the way Bunnie handled it. She didn't lash out at critics, she didn't threaten lawsuits publicly. Instead, she posted another emotional image 2 days later, her sitting in a therapy office, journal open, pen mid-sentence. "Growth is louder than rumors." It was subtle but powerful. Behind closed doors, the emotional toll was real. Bunnie admitted in a later podcast episode that she had cried harder that week than she had in years, not because she feared losing fame, but because she feared losing trust. "Trust is currency," she told her listeners, "and when someone questions your character, it feels like your bank account of goodwill is being drained." Yet she also acknowledged something uncomfortable. Being in the public eye means your life is open for interpretation. You can't control what people believe, you can only control how you show up. So she kept showing up. She attended a charity event for domestic violence survivors the following weekend, not as a PR stunt, she insisted, but because the cause had always been close to her heart. Cameras flashed, of course, whispers followed her through the venue. But when she hugged survivors and listened to their stories, something shifted. The narrative online felt small compared to the real pain in that room. The turning point. A week after the initial allegations, the full audio recording surfaced. It revealed a heated argument, yes, but also showed that Bunnie had been responding to false accusations directed at her in that moment. The intensity made more sense in context. The supposed abuse sounded like a woman defending herself passionately. The internet predictably pivoted. Articles, updated headlines, comment sections filled with apologies, though not nearly as many as the earlier criticisms. Bunnie didn't gloat. Instead, she posted one final emotional image, a sunrise over Nashville, golden light breaking through clouds. Truth doesn't rush, but it arrives. A new chapter. In the weeks that followed, Bunnie's platform grew, not because of scandal, but because of resilience. People were drawn to the way she handled chaos with transparency. She began dedicating segments of her podcast to discussions about online accountability and the weight of words. She invited mental health professionals to speak about the difference between toxic behavior and abuse. She created space for nuanced conversations, something the internet often lacks. And in a quiet but powerful gesture, she donated a portion of her merchandise sales that month to organizations supporting survivors of real abuse. It wasn't about clearing her name anymore. It was about ensuring the word abuse remained sacred enough to protect those who truly needed protection. The power of vulnerability. Months later, when asked in an interview what that period taught her, Bunnie smiled softly. "It taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's armor made of honesty." She acknowledged that the emotional photos had been a risk. In a world obsessed with curated perfection, showing tear-streaked cheeks can invite mockery, but she believed authenticity was worth it. People don't connect to perfection, they connect to truth. Her fans agreed. The images that once symbolized scandal now felt like a turning point, a reminder that public figures are still human beings navigating complicated emotions under relentless scrutiny. The aftermath. Today, if you scroll through her feed, you'll still see glam shots, podcast clips, and playful banter, but there's an undercurrent of something steadier now, an earned calm. The storm didn't destroy her, it refined her, and perhaps that's the quiet lesson hidden beneath the headlines, that breaking silence isn't about shouting the loudest.